All right. Well, if you can't see the game plan on the Instagram chat, we have the game plan today. The game plan that we're going to talk about today is going to be kind of our same setup last week as well. So if you're listening on podcasts or rewatching on Facebook Live or YouTube Live or anything like that. Our game plan. We're going to talk about the Attaboys, right? The people who don't get the love from ESPN and Fox and CBS and all those national syndicates, even like the big bloggers, right? We're going to talk about those teams, those players, things that we've seen, um, that I've seen this week, things that I thought were pretty cool. So we're gonna get the show started. So with our Attaboys, our first Attaboy, these teams, a lot of these teams start off the year super slow, super bad, right? And and these teams start off it's slow. They look bad. I want to give an attaboy to Brian Kelly in that offense, in that off offense, that's offensive staff and defense, pretty much his entire staff at LSU, because you couldn't have told me back in September 25th, or that weekend, you couldn't have told me that that LSU team that we watched play super sloppy in that game in New Orleans in their backyard. You could not have told me that they were going to be number 6 in the nation going into the third week of the pollings. I would have never thought that. I never would have thought that one bit. Not one bit. So I get an attaboy to LSU. And then also the same team that they played that beat them, I'm giving attaboy to. LSU beat Florida State. They looked just as sloppy. They looked like Mike Norvell had no clue what he was doing in year 3 whatsoever. But somehow, in some way, Mike Norvell this year has done a phenomenal job in getting Florida State prepped and ready to play in every one of their games. They had a tough schedule. They played North Carolina State. They played Wake Forest. They played Clemson. They played Syracuse. They played Louisville. They played teams that are really decent teams. Obviously, Clemson is going to be the best team they played this year, and they played them great. But they're sitting at almost a they win, they beat Florida. That's a 9-3 season. No one would have thought that in the world. So I'm giving Florida State my second attaboy of the week. So kudos to those guys, and no one is talking about them. Their quarterback Travis, he is phenomenal. He's playing lights out right now. So the player development, they're buying in to that Florida State program. Super awesome to see down there in Tallahassee. It's good to see Florida State competing again. Hopefully, Coach Mario Cristobal at Miami can get them going. Uh, Clearly, there was a whole lot more under the rug when he first took over. That there was some either culture problems, some locker room issues. I know the name, image, likeness doesn't help these young kids at all when it comes to their own egos and things like that. So it takes a big coach to handle all that. So I feel like he can do the job down there, and he'll get it done for sure. Um, my third attaboy. This one goes to Vanderbilt Commodores. Wow, absolute wow. You guys not have won one SEC game that no one ever thought you would, but you haven't not just won two SEC football games, right? That was insane. That was insane. They obviously played at home. Clark Lee, in the beginning of the year, played lesser teams and beat lesser teams like you're supposed to in the SEC. But my favorite thing about Vanderbilt this year is that they don't quit and they're fighting hard. Yes, their roster on paper isn't as nearly as good as anybody else's roster they're going to play in the SEC, but these guys are buying in to Clark Lee. It's a second year. Everyone calls him Professor X because he's bald and he looks like Professor X. But kudos to them, man. They played Florida, and that's a good Florida team. right? They have some issues. Billy Napier's going to figure them out year one, coming into year two. He'll get a quarterback after Anthony Richardson, and they'll figure things out. Florida's probably going to end up just getting great on defense like they've always been, and finding a way to win on the offense. Florida will be back. I know they will, but losing to Vanderbilt, Kentucky and Florida back-to-back weeks. So Vanderbilt gets my third attaboy just from sheer willingness to win. They willed that win. Their quarterback play he's a running back. He doesn't play quarterback. And anything when it comes to anything like that. So kudos to them. Now they have a big test. Can they win 3 this week? 3 in a row, 3 SEC in a row. Almost bowl eligible. But that would be awesome, right? Everyone would love to see that one. They play Tennessee this weekend in Nashville. There'll be a sold-out crowd. It'll be all orange and then a little sprinkle in of Vanderbilt Commodore fans. But it's going to be electric this weekend. I know Vandy's going to come out and punch Tennessee in the mouth. I know they're going to try to. They need 6 for bowl eligibility. Now, is Tennessee let them after that letdown that happened? And so speaking in that, we're going to segue into the next attaboy, the last one. Everyone's really talking about this one. South Carolina, attaboy offense. Y'all took care of the ball and you slung it around. You saw something on paper. You saw a weak defensive backfield and you exposed and exploited that. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to Coach Beamer. Huge win. Massive win for them. Year 2, in the beginning, it wasn't looking like it was supposed to look. Figured things out in the middle of the year. Now it's going to end strong. Hopefully, he gets a win against Clemson. That'll be fun for them. And you want to see progression, right? In progression in year 2. Last year, they went 6-6. This year, they're already bowl eligible. They're already going to have 7 to 8 wins this year. So that's progress moving forward, considering what he has done when he took over as the coach. That roster that he had it's still not good. But he can get there. He can recruit. So kudos to Coach Beamer. You did it, man. That was a great game for you guys. Let's try to get some more people in the chat. So we got those 4 attaboys. If AJ's still with us, AJ, what was one of your attaboys this week, man? Love to see it. Love to hear it. Man, we have a lot of games to recap. Super fun. How's everybody's day going? All right, let's head into our weekend recap. Let's say AJ said, I don't want to say it, but South Carolina should deserve an attaboy. I said that already. Yeah, it's okay. They deserve it. It didn't bother me none. Now in the moment, yeah, it bothered me, but I'm good. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's head into our weekend recap. As AJ said, Wisconsin came back with a victory. Well, that's good, man. It's one of our things we're probably going to talk about. That Big Ten West. You have 4 teams. You have 2 teams at 7-4, man, or 8-3 or something like that. It's insane. That Big Ten West is incredible. Like no one's even talking about how insane that Big Ten West is. with Iowa, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Minnesota all at play still for the West until last week. Like, that was insane. Like, you had two teams eliminate each other based off of Illinois, Iowa, Purdue, and Wisconsin. All those teams were still at play all last weekend. And so now it comes down to two. Iowa is the tiebreaker. They hold everything because they've beaten other teams. So if it works out for Iowa, we're going to see Iowa again in the Big Ten championship game, probably against Ohio State or Michigan. I mean, probably. We're going to know it's Ohio State or Michigan, though. But kudos to Iowa. That's another attaboy. Another attaboy. For a team who can't score worth a lick, still found a way to play fundamental football, never quit football, and get a chance to win the Big Ten West and go to the championship game and possibly get an upset. You never know how these things go in football. So kudos to Iowa, man. There's so many good attaboys. There's a lot of good stories in college football today. It's insane how many good stories are. But we're going to break down the couple of the top popular games of the weekend. I want to go ahead and start talking Pac-12. The Pac-12 was the main focal point. It was the darling child of the weekend. The Pac-12, the USC-UCLA game was exquisite. It's exactly what you want to see in football. It's exactly what you want to see in college football. It was awesome. And I don't mean awesome. I mean it was fun. It was fun to see both teams in the Rose Bowl, in that setting, sold out. They just put tarps over the end zone to make it look good, as the UCLA always does. Caleb Williams looked phenomenal. 500 yards passing. I believe he was 30 for 48 in attempts and completions. Wow. Not on top of that, he was making plays in moments that he needed to, finding a way to win. And then on top of that, his team backed him up. His defense, who I've been saying for the last couple weeks, it's been recorded, USC is 1 year away because their defense. Well, their defense showed up against a very good ground game, ground and pound UCLA team. You know, you look at the score, UCLA comes out 14-0 in the first quarter. Then USC closes that gap at 20 to 14. Then it goes 20 to 21 at half. And then you got a ball game. Kudos to both of these teams doing what they needed to do. It was super fun to watch. I loved it. I hope you loved it. I really do. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome. What a great game. And USC now holds the driver's seat when it comes to the college football playoffs. Absolutely, they hold the driver's seat. It's pretty cool. It's actually cool to see. AJ, what did you think about that? Let me know in the chat, guys. It was good, man. Like, even the colors of the uniforms, like, it felt like, you know, the Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush era, the early 2000s when USC was good. UCLA was always decent. They, you know, obviously never won anything big, but they always played that game. That game was always fun to watch. That's what it felt like. It felt like that again. And it's good to have a West Coast team in the top, like, legit top 5, because it means when on the East Coast, I didn't watch, but heard on the radio this morning that it was a good game. It was a good game, AJ, man. It was. I would encourage you to go on YouTube and watch the highlights of it. Just get those highlights. You're going to see some really good football on both ends. So my hat's tipped off to Chip Kelly and UCLA for even being 8-2 going in that game. They've had a great year. they've played some tough teams. They had to play on the road at Oregon. That's how they lost. They lost to Utah at home, which that's never easy to play Utah anyway. They lost to Utah at home, and then they just lost at home to USC, which USC proved. I mean, there were 7 to me on our big board. They're going to be number 5 going into this, either 5 or 6. I can see them being 5 jumping LSU just because that's how the polls are. But everyone, LSU could pull the miracle of miracles and beat Georgia. You never know. You absolutely don't know. But I believe USC probably is going to be 5. That would be a huge jump for them. Massive jump for USC if they go to 5, because now they control their destiny to the team above them in this ranking right here where it says Oregon, Utah. They're going to play Oregon. They're going to play Oregon this year. They haven't played them this year on their schedule, so they're going to actually get a chance to play Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. It's going to be awesome. Now USC can't count all their chickens before they hatch, because USC has to play Notre Dame this week. And Notre Dame is another team. Attaboy to Marcus Freeman and getting those guys going, because Notre Dame is actually playing good football. I know they had the embarrassing losses at the beginning of the year, but they have figured it out for a first-time coach coming into that situation. That's big, man. That is a big thing for Notre Dame. So kudos to them. I expect the USC to Notre Dame game to be electric. Notre Dame fans are excited about their program, where it's heading. You're going to see a bunch of in the Coliseum. It's going to feel like it did back in the day. It's going to feel like it. They're going to fill that Coliseum up. There's one thing about LA fans is they'll wait for their team to be really good to go to the games. Well, they're good. They've proven that. I've been proven wrong. I'm a man of my word, and I want to see USC continue what they do. They're only going to get better. Caleb Williams is going to return next year. I really hope he does. He does not need to go pro. But if they return, man, they're going to be a really good team next year. Lincoln Riley's such a good coach. And if they can just get transfer portal guys in the defense, they're already recruiting like crazy. I mean, what kid who's 18, 19 years old doesn't want to live in southern Los Angeles and be the pretty much talk of the town, So, man, I can't wait. This weekend's going to be fun. So, the Utah-Oregon game, this game was just your typical. It started so late, 10 o'clock start time. Everyone was already exhausted here on the East Coast after all those games at the noon o'clock, 3 o'clock game, 4 o'clock game slot sucked, but then there was like 4 games on at 8 o'clock. So my thing is, this game, a lot of people on the East Coast didn't watch it. I watched a little bit of it. It was just what you typically thought this game would be. It was going to be low scoring. It was going to be a lot of defense, a lot of possession controlling of the ball. That's what Utah likes to play. Utah likes to play a slow-paced offense. They don't want to go fast. They literally want to submit their will on you, and you break. But the problem is Oregon is a good team. They're a Dan Lanning team, which is mentally they're going to be a really good, tough-nosed team. When he gets his culture set and he gets his system in place, it's going to be really good for him. Oregon's going to they're going to be a ground and pound team eventually. It's going to look like a completely different Pac-12. It's going to be weird when we get to that point, for sure. Absolutely. So that is our recap. We have a few more games. Let's bring up these games, right? So TCU Baylor, I don't know if you watched that game. Wow. From the eyes of someone who's watching those games, people are watching TCU now because they are number 4. After playing a phenomenal road game against Texas and proving everybody we can play big boy brand football. We pretty much put our hard hat on and bootstrap and tighten them and let's go to work. They go to Baylor and look like they have no clue what's going on. And Baylor there's the same Baylor team from last year, but they got some issues. right? And TCU gambled, and they kept gambling, and they kept gambling, and they gambled all the way to the last 10 seconds. And it was the most electrifying part of that game was watching all 11 of those offensive guys leave that field and get 11 field goal team guys on there, and no hesitation, snap, go. Like, we're talking about just send it. So, Sonny Dykes, you gambled, Roy, and it worked out for you. Because honestly, there was no chance for the kicker to feel any nervousness or anything like that. You just got to go out there and kick. So sometimes it works out in your favor. So kudos to you. You keep winning weird games. You've won in overtime. You've won in blowouts. You've won in close games, and you've won on the road again. Crazy, crazy game. Baylor had that game in hand, but they just did not execute that they needed to do at the very end of that game. Hi, baby. Good night. Okay. Gonna come in? Say hello. We're talking TCU. TCU Baylor. TCU Baylor. Did you watch that game? Was it good? It was a good game, wasn't it? What's your favorite part of that game? Was it the Super Frog? Yeah, he's cute. He's funny. That Super Frog. So, AJ says, question. Whoever loses the Ohio State versus Michigan game, do you have both in the top 4, or whoever loses drops to 5th? That's a good question. You're obviously ahead of schedule, AJ. I was going to talk about that, but no, I feel like if Ohio State wins that one, they should retain at 2. They, on resume wise, they have played Notre Dame. Notre Dame that win has looked better as the year has gone by. They beat Penn State at Penn State. We saw that one. Say goodnight. Bye. We saw how that game ended for them. They looked super electric. We've seen glimpses, bits and pieces of how Ohio State looks when they want to look, when they put it all together, and that's why on potential alone they're at 2 or 3, right? Where it depends on your poll. On the other hand, Michigan's schedule and how it looks, it is not good. It's not good. They say, yes, they've played Penn State, and they played Illinois last week, right? This wasn't an undefeated Illinois. This wasn't a top 10 Illinois. This wasn't like anything that's crazy. They won by a last-minute field goal, 19 or 17, I don't know, 17 to 16, right? So going into that game, the winner should stay, yes. I feel like if Ohio State loses, it's in a close game. Like real close, we're talking about like game-winning field goal, something like that, where it's like it's always been. They shouldn't leave the top 4. I feel like they've earned it. But if Michigan loses in any way, a tiny fraction of a loss or a big loss, they need to be out of the top 4. Their resume is not as good. Even though Ohio State's resume is not as good either, they played teams and they've beaten teams. They've blown teams out because they show that their offense is good. Like this week, the Maryland game, it was a close game at halftime. They ended up blowing them out. Like you can see they're a second half team. They just don't they slow play everything in the beginning of the game because they know how good they are. I feel like they just don't come out. I feel like they're going to come out in this game against Michigan and show you what they can do. That's in my heart. So that's a great question, AJ. If you got any more questions, keep bringing me some questions. Especially interaction is what we like here. Interaction, questions. So, yeah, like I said, I feel like everything hinges on Michigan for them. They have to win this game. If they don't, they're just going to go to a Rose Bowl. And it's going to be a phenomenal Rose Bowl. They're going to play the winner, USC, Oregon. I can't wait to see that. That'll be a fun game, no matter what. I mean, as a fan, I think that'd be great. So that's what I feel like that one. If you have another question, AJ, feel free to throw it out there in the chat for me. If anybody on YouTube or Facebook want to throw something up in the chat, go right ahead, guys. I'd love to hear it. Throw it up in the chat. All right, let's get back to our weekend recap. So we're recapping these games. If you're coming on right now, if you're hopping on from different places, we've already talked about our USC game from recap. We've talked about the Oregon recap. Now we're going to talk about Georgia Kentucky recap. Obviously, you look at the box score, you can see Kentucky didn't do anything till the last fourth quarter. It's because Kentucky's offense is horrible. Georgia's defense smothered them. But why isn't Georgia blowing them out? It's 16-6. They should have blown them out. I get Kentucky played a good game. They played the best they can at 6-5. But why isn't Georgia winning with their amazing? Their offense is ranked in top 5, top 10 in the nation with a top 10 defense. Why aren't they blowing them out? Are they trying to save gas? Trying to save face? I don't get it. I feel like if you take them out of Athens or Atlanta or just out of the state of Georgia, they lose their luster. That's my opinion. I wish we could get some Georgia fans up in here so we can talk about this, but they're not because it's 9:30 on a Monday. Should be doing this at 7:30, but I don't. It's okay. Dad life, yeah. So I'm just confused, right? I'm just confused about that score. You look at the Missouri score, the same thing. Georgia had to come back in the fourth quarter to win that game. But they'll play like freaking Captain America and the Hulk all together in Athens against anybody. Same thing in Atlanta. So I would kudos to them. Their record and their schedule, they've played 3 road games this year. 2 of those road games are true road games. The other one was in Atlanta, right? And the other one was at Jacksonville at a neutral site game, which half your crowd is Georgia. So I think if you look at their schedule, yes, it's amazing. Played really good teams. But they played all home games this year, man. And it's going to work out in their favor too. So I'm just, to me, this year was literally scheduled by the scheduling gods to put Georgia in the Peach Bowl, which is in Atlanta, after they played the SEC championship game, which is in Atlanta. They're just literally going to just have every home. They've had like 19 home games this year. 19 home games. Like, come on. I can't wait for next year because I'm a big component. I really think Oklahoma and Texas are going to be in the SEC next year. We're going to announce it at media days or before even that happens. Then we're going to have a new schedule, and I would love to see half that schedule where Georgia actually has to go on the road and play some legitimate teams. Because if they're saying what they need to say, favoritism much to Georgia, I think so too. AJ, look at their schedule. Look at their schedule and see what I'm talking about. And the teams that they had to play on the road, take them out of Athens. Like, take them away from the battery pack. Take them away from the mothership, the Georgia, where they get all their power from. Like Superman gets his power from the sun. They get their power from the state of Georgia. You'll see. I'm just saying there's something to it. There's something to it. I don't want to be a Georgia hater because they're legit. They're a legit team. I'm not saying they're not. Just saying, why don't you play outside the state more often? So kudos to whoever scheduled that for him. Awesome. So Kentucky losing to Vanderbilt last week. That was tough on them. I still don't think Will Levis is remotely close to being an NFL quarterback. I don't know what Mayock and Mel Kiper are seeing. They just see a big, strong white kid who can throw the ball a country mile, and they're thinking Josh Allen 2.0. Well, he's not. Josh Allen completes passes. This guy's not. He's terrible. He can't read anything. And this year, he should have proven himself with no weapons that he can do it, but he can't. And that's just my opinion. That's my opinion on that one. Other people have their own opinions, but mine's pretty freaking good. I got LSU up here, UAB. Kudos to LSU. Like I said earlier in the program, LSU got the attaboy for me. They are playing some hot football. Good for them. Like, it's good to see them playing good football. It's good to see some parity in the SEC West. It's good to see all that. So kudos to the guys. They beat the poop out of UAB, which is not a bad opponent. But they're sitting at 9-2, 6-1. No one even thought that would be possible. I didn't, not at all, not one bit. I did not think that was going to be possible. To even talk about LSU in November. I was thinking 6-6, 7-5, but they figured out their offense, they figured out their defense, they figured out how to get Jaden Daniels in the games. So kudos, man. I'm proud of them. All right, next on our agenda. That was our weekend recap. There's other games we could have gone more into depth on that one. I just wanted to talk about maybe the top 5, top 10. We're going to go into our bowl projections, right? So bowling season's around the corner. We're going to have a college bowl and pick 'em. So be alert on that one, be active on that one. We're super excited about that. But I'm going to just throw up what our projection of our bowls they look like, right? So week 11, Power 5, or week 12, Power 5 top bowls, okay? Playoff bound, we still have USC. USC has a chance. Clemson still has a chance. Alabama has a chance. Things work in their favor. LSU has a chance if they win. I feel like if they win, they're in. You got to give it to them, right? You see, we moved Tennessee down to New Year's contention. Everyone's saying they're going to the Cotton Bowl. It looks like they're playing in the Cotton Bowl, and the winner will be one of those at-large bids. So it could be a Cincinnati or Tulane. Those teams play each other this week. What a week. Can't wait to watch that one. Winner of that game plays UCF, or they play each other again in the Pac-12 in the Big 8 American Conference Championship game. Championship week's going to be really fun when we get to that one. You got Kansas State. They're in contention for a New Year's Bowl. Penn State is as well, if things happen in their favor. If the winner of Oregon USC, boom, that's your Rose Bowl. Cincinnati, Tulane. I got Cincinnati right there because I feel like Cincinnati's going to go ahead and do what they need to do, and they'll probably end up getting the at-large bid for the Cotton Bowl. Alabama is probably slated for Alabama's going to be slated for the Sugar Bowl, and they're going to be playing, it looks like probably Kansas State or Penn State, and then LSU is going to lose that one against Georgia, like everyone thinks, and if they do, they go to the Citrus Bowl, so they bump down. A lot of people have Clemson and Alabama in the Orange Bowl. That will be fun. So it's going to be a fun bowl season. So those New Year's Sixes are going to be fun. Always fun. Then you got your bowl games after Christmas. So these are your Power 5 bowl games, right? Those fun games that are, 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. But yeah, we added more teams to that one. We moved some teams down to bowl games before Christmas. You don't see a lot of group 6 teams here. We just don't have it. Next year we'll probably do a group of 6. We just didn't have the time or the mental capacity to do group of 6. Well, there's a few in there like trickled in, like Houston, Tulane, and USC, UCF, and stuff like that. But yeah, we updated our no bowls, right? Miami's not getting the bowl game. Missouri's not going to get a bowl game. We got Texas A&M not getting a bowl game. Got Notre Dame down there as a joke, but Notre Dame is going to get a solid bowl game this year. Kudos to them. We moved Iowa up. Iowa's definitely going to get a bowl game. Good for y'all, man. Oklahoma became bowl eligible this week after beating Oklahoma State. We moved them down, right? I can't wait for bowl season. There's a lot of there's a lot of even teams that are going to be playing each other. It's going to be a really tough bowl pick'em this year. Last year I thought was pretty tough. This year's bowl pick'em is going to be really tough. There's a lot of good matchups coming, and I'm excited for it. I really am. So, and on top of that, we got our projected. This is our back porch playoff teams: Oklahoma, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, TCU. Currently at the moment, we'll see when that updates after this weekend, and see what happens. So stay tuned to that one for us, and we're gonna move down to our takeaways over the weekend. Some of these are our attaboys we talked about, but the biggest takeaway we talk about Tennessee choking. Tennessee had the driver's seat to the playoff. Everybody knows it. They choked. They choked big. But it's okay because they're way ahead of schedule. As a fan, I'm sad. But as a person who watches a lot of college football games, it's okay. The reality is they're supposed to go 7-5 this year, and they exceeded way above expectations. So kudos to them. Kudos to them. They're going to come, lick their wounds, get back at it this week, and play Vanderbilt. That game, on paper, 2 months ago, blowout. I don't see it being a blowout this week. I don't. I see Vanderbilt competing in this game this week. It's going to be two teams fighting for something, right? Vanderbilt's fighting for bowl eligibility and respect. Tennessee's fighting for a 10th win. They haven't had 10 wins in years. 10-win season's huge for Knoxville, huge for recruiting, huge for that program. So both those teams, it's going to be old school hate. And I can't wait to watch that one at 7:30 on the SEC Network this weekend. Oh, yeah, it's going to be good. Michigan, Ohio State. The game of the century is finally here. We're super excited about it. Nothing matters anymore. You can throw out any record book. It's going to be just low dog nasty. I hate this dude across from me, and we're just going to go after it for 60 minutes. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be freaking awesome. Then you got Pac-12, USC, and the Pac-12, my takeaway, we've already talked about it. They've shown a legit balance of football. Good for them. A lot of things that we didn't know. We just don't see it out here on the East Coast. We don't get a lot of USC games unless they're on Fox on Prime. I think they're going to get a lot more of those coming up this year and next year. So I'm excited about that for sure. And then TCU, as much as we don't want to see them at number 4, they keep winning. They're wild, fun, and spunky. They just keep winning. And I feel like Sonny Dykes is a shoo-in for Coach of the Year this year. He's done a phenomenal job in year one. So kudos to them. Let's get to the weekend games, right? So we have our weekend games. It's rivalry week, man. I'm excited about it. First rivalry game on the slate, Thanksgiving night. The old Egg Bowl. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. And the weird thing about this is today, about an hour ago, Lane Kiffin, sources from CBS said Lane Kiffin is resigning and stepping down at Ole Miss and going to Auburn. That's going to affect this game. Crap is about to hit the fan in Oxford tonight and the rest of this week. I'm telling you, it's going to get crazy. It was already bad because they lost to Arkansas so bad this week, and they said, it was nothing to do with the rumors. It had everything to do with the rumors. So my thing is Mississippi State might get their 8th win and go 8-4 this year and beat the poop out of Ole Miss. Because I'm telling you right now, if I was an Ole Miss player and I'm coming in and Lane Kiffin's recruiting me, or I just got there as a freshman and I'm not playing, I'm transfer portal out of there. So Lane Kiffin, once again, he leaves a road of destruction everywhere he goes, and he's heading to Auburn this time, probably a 10-year deal or something, $10 million. It's going to be stupid money, like $100 million or something like that, 10-year contract. So I feel your pain. Ole Miss. I do. I really do. Why would he go to Auburn? Better recruiting, maybe. Auburn, AJ, is a completely better job Ole Miss, we think Ole Miss as a program is up there, but Auburn as a program, because they've been backseated to Alabama for so many years, and they always like, hey, we're Alabama's little brother. They have such a heavy booster behind them, and then their stadium and their fan base it's electric, right? It's a better job. It's honestly a better job than Ole Miss on paper. Auburn is an A program, and Ole Miss at best, Ole Miss can be a B plus, and that's what it is. It's just what it is, and it comes to football, and it's always been that way, So that's why he would jump. It would look like a horizontal move, but it's really not. It's actually a vertical move on his point. So kudos to him. Honestly, good for you, Lane Kiffin. We're proud of you. Moving on. Oh, forgot to take this thing off. There we go. Sorry, guys. So, yeah. Mississippi State's got a lot to play for. In-state pride, in-state rivalry. Ole Miss is literally down in the dumps. We'll see. That game will be tough in the beginning, but I feel like Mississippi State will take that one. That's a great Thanksgiving night game. There's a lot of good football on Thanksgiving. I'm super excited for it. Friday, November 25th at noon, Texas Baylor. This is going to be a fun game. I wish it was Texas A&M, like it has always been. But this is going to be a good game. Texas is going for their 8th win right here. Baylor's got to prove something here. Maybe get 7 wins off of a really bad season, a really bad letdown this season for them. But Texas, 8 wins is good for them. That's a really good year. Give BJ the rock like last week. Give him the rock, and let Baylor just swoon and die. At noon, ABC 25th, man. Tulane, Cincinnati, 9-2, 2 9-2 teams. That's going to be super fun. I cannot wait to watch this one. Oh, man, the winner of this one obviously holds a driver's seat in the American Conference. Man, I'm real excited about this one. If you want to watch some good, fun football, non-Power 5 football, we're talking about guys that are just out there just ready to rock it. You know, you're Tulane's their quarterback's he's thrown 266 attempts. He's got over 2,000 yard passing, man. We're talking about electricity. Cincinnati has got a phenomenal little defense and offense. You know, just building off of their momentum from last year. So if you're tuning in, man, tune into something like that. That's a good game. Then you got North Carolina State, North Carolina on 3:00. That's a good rivalry game. Both teams are ranked 9-2, 7-4. North Carolina, they lost to Georgia Tech, so they're looking to bounce back, get a bounce back win on that one. Then you got Arkansas, Missouri. Both teams 5-6, 6-5. It's going to be just a fun game on CBS on Friday. That's going to be a good one. There's a lot of good games on Friday to watch. Nebraska, Iowa. Friday is a great game, a great day. And then to end the night, Florida State, like we talked about earlier today, Florida State is going for their 9th win. Who would have thought that? I wouldn't have. 9th win at home, Tallahassee. The place is going to be sold out. Doak Campbell, kudos to you guys. Kudos to Florida State. You guys are playing some really good football. Travis is the quarterback, not Hunter. I said it earlier. He's playing good football, man. And Florida's not. Florida's not, but it's still Florida. It's still SEC football. It's still rivalry. So you kind of throw out all records and let's see what they do. You know what I mean? Then on the 26th, my birthday, you have some fun games on the 26th. Like we already broke down, that Tennessee Vanderbilt game is 7:30 on the SEC network. I feel like that game's going to be better than what you think it's going to be. Tennessee's only a 14-point favorite in that one. Losing Hooker did not help, but we'll see how that one plays out. Then you got the war on I-4. South Florida's terrible. 1-10. They fired their coach. UCF 8-3. So we'll see how that one plays out. I feel like UCF's gonna destroy them. You got the game. 12 o'clock on Fox, Michigan, Ohio State. That game is going to be electric. It's going to be fun. Ohio State's a 7.5-point favorite. For reason, their offense can score and Michigan can't. So we'll see. But you kind of throw everything out the window in this game, right? You got to. Then you got South Carolina, Clemson. This game is going to be better than everybody expects. It's in Clemson this year. I feel like if this game was if it was in at South Carolina and Columbia, I think they would beat them. But I don't feel like it's going to happen. I feel like Clemson's a 14.5-point favorite. Last week was an anomaly, honestly, for Spencer Rattler and that offense. And Clemson's going to show them why they're better than them, and they've been better than them in the state for a very long time. So my pick on that one's Clemson for sure. Doesn't mean South Carolina ain't going to punch them in the face a little bit. They're going to punch them, but Clemson's going to literally Rochambeau them like they've done to everybody this year and beat South Carolina. So that's going to be a good game on the 26th. Let's see what other rivalry games we got going. Kentucky, Louisville, always a hatred game right there. Tune into that one. Then you got the Iron Bowl, Auburn, Alabama. I don't care if Auburn has only won 5 games. That one's going to be fun. It's going to be frisky. It's going to be electric. It's going to be just crazy. So we'll see you in that one. Then Oregon plays Oregon State at 3:30 on ABC. Both teams are 9-2, 8-3. No one's really talking about Oregon State. Really good defense, really solid team. So that's a really good game. A sneaky game that no one's really talking about there. Then you got Purdue, Indiana. Let's see what else. That Notre Dame USC game at 7:30, to me, that's a really good night game to watch to end that nightcap. I don't think there's anything later than that, but that is a really good game. And then you got Kansas State, 8 o'clock. Kansas State 6-5, not Kansas State, Kansas. Bowl eligible this year, so kudos to them. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for this weekend. For sure. Absolutely. So that's our slate. Guys, thanks for joining us. Hopefully later this week I will have our picks for the week and all those things. But, man, tomorrow comes out our polls for tomorrow. Looking at our polls, like I said, Georgia 1, 2 realistically is going to be Ohio State, 3 Michigan, 4 TCU, 5. This is my poll. 5 USC, 6 LSU, 7 Alabama. It should be honest. It shouldn't be Alabama. It should be Clemson, Alabama, then Tennessee, then Oregon. So that is it for tonight's show. Thanks for joining. Continue to follow us on Back Porch Overs Club on Instagram, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, all of that. Thank you for being a part of this. The podcast will be out tonight or tomorrow morning. And this has been great. Thanks, AJ. Thank you for being a part of it tonight. I appreciate your questions, man. So please continue to like, follow, and share the Back Porch Overs Club. Deuces.